To anyone feeling lonely, what you have to understand is that finding somebody else is not going to solve the underlying issue. It might give you temporary satisfaction, but you'll find that over time you'll get bored of that person because they can't fill that void that you have from not loving yourself and loving your own company. Okay, once you get to that point that you truly love your own company and you enjoy spending time with yourself and you love yourself enough to go and do the things that you want to do with or without that special someone, you're much more likely to run across that special someone, and you'll be able to enjoy the depth of the connection that you'll have with them to an even greater extent because it's not attachment based. It's purely based on enjoying their company. Okay, they are adding to an already good experience and vice versa. You enjoy each other's company that much more because you know that you don't need each other to be happy, but you want each other. And that to me is true love.
Ced Hawkins here. Welcome to the CedTalks Podcast. My guest today is a recent graduate at Bowie State University. I think this guy's going to do some big things in his future, and I'm looking forward to this conversation we're going to have today. Without further ado, here is Mitch Plater. Mitch, welcome to the show, my man.
Hey, what's going on, Ced?
Nothing.
Glad to be here.
Absolutely, man. How you been as of late, bro?
Been doing all right.
Good. Like, as I said before we started recording, like, you look familiar. I'm sure we had some interactions here and there, but this is the first time we're really going to have a full-depth conversation, and so I'm really looking forward to this interview.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, go ahead, man.
All right, you fine.
All right, so right off the bat, I got to ask you, man, how has your 2021 been so far? It's the new year. Things are slowly starting to get upright with this pandemic and whatnot. So how has your year been for you?
Yeah, it's been kind of a blessing. Also, it's been a time for new opportunities to open up. We're just getting started, and now it's February, so this is a great time to, advance and do everything that we promised ourselves that we would do in 2020.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. When the pandemic first happened back in the spring, you were in your senior semester at Bowie State. You was getting ready to graduate. When everything first shut down, how did that affect you?
Oh, that was really a shocker, I'd say, to say the least. That time, after the pandemic hit and we all were, back at home, it was really a time for, to continue to do the things that we were doing, but in a different setting where everybody was back at home. And I know it was kind of a troubling time for most people, I would say students also, to adapt to the new normal that we were going into. And also, for me, as a student, I know not a lot of people like online classes, and I only had, I want to say, 2 classes, and most of them were just online. So it was kind of a breeze for me because I got used to having online classes for the most part. But that was a hard transition, and then after, everything was over and graduation took place, I was looking forward to walking the stage all those 4 years, and that didn't happen. I was kind of disappointed. But at the same time, that was kind of a new thing for me to adapt to.
Yeah, for sure. I was at CSM, getting ready to graduate in my final year there. So, like you, I put in a lot of work over the years, and I was definitely looking forward to that ceremony. And when it didn't happen for me, it was absolutely disappointing and whatnot. But, as the world kept going on, I didn't have a choice but to keep, moving on and making new strides.
Yeah, like it was also, since you got time to spend some time in solitude, like alone with your family, it was also a time to, connect with them more and also do the things you said, spending time with them, growing with them, and, seeing their daily lives. I know a lot of people had trouble finding work, they were getting laid off, but honestly, my family was actually fortunate enough where they could actually work at home, where they didn't have to go out in the world and, risk their health being around certain people that have, like, certain, the diseases and everything.
Right. Did you still have to work during the pandemic, or were you laid off?
I wasn't so they sent us home for a good month and a half, 2 months, and then they said we could come back in, and, from there we would have to just do the procedures to keep going. After that, everything, just opened back up and people kept coming in. But shortly, people really didn't really come to our job as much. People filter in, but then later on, a lot of people started coming in. They started getting more comfortable coming out.
Yeah, got you. What is your job? What do you do?
Right now, I'm just working retail
got you.
at the moment. So,
Yeah, I feel you.
looking for my career position, but at the same time,
yeah,
still humble enough to say I have something.
Yeah, absolutely. You putting in work right now, you're down there doing your thing, and sooner or later you're going to, move on up, do some big things.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. What were some of the things that really kept you grounded and encouraged during those uncertain times back in the spring of last year?
I really leaned on family. I really leaned on God. I really leaned on my friends for, to push forward, to keep going and not be content or be settled. My mother and father really harbored that on me to, stick at it and stay consistent in what you're doing. So I kind of really leaned on them for encouragement and enlightenment. And, spending time not alone, but, in the house by yourself, you start thinking back on introspection, if I'm saying it correctly. And, examining yourself, trying to figure out, what's the next step for you to take. So you kind of do that at the same time, working on growing as a person, to become a better human being in a sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say I leaned on my faith a lot in God, and I also depended on my family to help keep me going, help me stay consistent with my goal of graduating from CSM with the best grades possible, because it was very easy to get complacent and just not do what I was set out to do. But it was really nice to be able to lean back on my family who was home because of the pandemic and just lean on them and help give me that encouragement.
Yeah, and was that kind of a struggle for you at CSM, being, in that setting?
Well, I was doing 2 online classes at the time, and I was going to classes in person, so I was really looking forward to the break of just being able to do everything online, just because I like doing stuff on my own. I'm kind of independent that way, but what really bummed me out was not being able to really see my friends towards the end of April going into May, and then, of course, not being able to graduate just devastated me to no end, but, realizing that I had gotten that far and my journey and in my growth really encouraged me. And then once I got that diploma sent through the mail, then, everything was pretty much okay in the end, even though I didn't get that ceremony.
Do you think, for some students, I know they need that hands-on experience with, the professors and everything. Do you kind of feel that way, too?
Yeah, I think there's a perfect balance of both. I think we do need to be in person and, feeling the classroom vibes, listening to our professors in person, because we're in a classroom setting and that keeps us focused. Whereas when we are at home, it's hard to really stay focused because there's so many things distracting us, right? And of course, we're in the middle of a pandemic, so it's hard for us to go to different places like the library or a coffee shop and really just sit down and just study, especially when you have a mask on. Who wants to sit down for an hour or two wearing a mask? It can get very distracting. So I do think that there should be a perfect balance of both. With me, I do love interacting with my professors. I would rather go up to them in their office face to face versus emailing them. But, like I said, I think there should be a perfect balance.
Yeah, I believe so. Because I feel like getting the hands-on experience of working with the professors is also gaining more of an insightful thing on how to do how to process it and correctly do it, and not just do it yourself and still have questions and then try to ask them through email and not getting your full answer.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. I see that's one, negative about that is because actually just recently for my earth science class, I had a question for my professor, and usually I would just go knock on his office and ask a question, and I had to email him, and it took a while for him to respond to my email, and it's just I have this question on this assignment, it's going to be due on Sunday. I want the answer right now so I can do it, but it is what it is. You just got to live with it and adapt with it.
Yeah, and then we'll respond for a day later, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, bro, I already did it. I already figured it out. But you was talking earlier about, introspection when you were by yourself during those periods of quarantine. What were some of the things that you really learned about yourself as an individual?
So, I mean, kind of examining yourself and seeing, like, where you fall short or where you kind of cycle doing the same thing over and over again and your shortcomings. So, not only that, but also harboring, like, I have these core set of friends, you know, that I can really, like, lean on for encouragement, or somebody to, like, push me out of my comfort zone to, you know, make me a better person. And it's like thinking back, like, wow, you know, these people have really, like, helped me grow, helped me, you know, advance in life. And it's also just a time to, you know, think back on certain situations where, you know, you kept repeating the same cycle, like I said, but trying to push forward and try to be a better person.
Right. I try not to overthink things, but I am like a really good deep thinker. Like I always like to think about, you know, where my life is at, what I would like to do, and, you know, changing things up or maybe keeping things the same. And that can be with school, my podcast, my social circle of my friends, just, you know, a lot of different things. Like I really do like to think a lot and just think about, you know, what do I want for my life? Like 6 months down the road, like what do I want to do, basically? And so being in quarantine during those periods really made me, you know, think about stuff that I probably wouldn't have if I was still on my daily grind without the pandemic happening.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like, this is the perfect time to, you know, think about that and also put it into practice. Not to say, but actually to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think God put this pandemic on us just for us to really just, I guess, sit down and really meditate on what he instilled inside of us, you know, the different types of skills that he wants us to go out and achieve. So that way, when everything is opened back up, you know, we know what we can do really because we have been practicing it on our own for all this time.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's been a blessing to actually say, you know, I want to spend time with my family, I want to spend time with this person, that person. And now you actually get to do it, and it's like, that's an amazing thing, because not a lot of times you get that time because you're always busy doing certain things in your own personal life. So it's really been an important part for me to actually spend time with my family and spend time with, you know, my mother, my father, and brother.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, last question before we shift over to, you know, your early life, your childhood and whatnot is I'm sure there are people listening, they may be going through some type of struggles because of the pandemic. What kind of advice would you give to them?
You know, to lean on God, to, you know, to stay focused on, you know, your path, and don't be fearful. Go into things with confidence. And have the confidence to know that you're going to be able to, you know, overcome certain obstacles and struggles, because that struggles is what molds you, what builds you. Your perseverance for that is going to, you know, weigh on in the end.
Yeah, for sure. Confidence, I think, is a really big thing in life, and just, you know, just chasing your goals and chasing after what you really want is something I struggled with, and it's only now that I'm really starting to step out on faith and step out of my comfort zone and, you know, doing the things that I feared, and, you know, half the time it really works out to my benefit, and if it doesn't work out, you know, I'm able to kind of shrug it off and just move on, but, you know, without having that confidence that we really need, it's that we can't really do the stuff that we want to do because our fear is really holding us back.
Yeah, and I believe, like, fear is, like, the one thing that holds people back from doing a lot of things they aspire to do, and I've experienced that a lot, and I feel like that kind of holds me back to becoming, you know, a certain part of myself that I believe I can be. But if I could, like, just erase that and have that confidence to do all that I can and know that I can do, my life probably be a lot more, not better, but, you know, things would be more better for me.
I try to cast my burdens on the Lord, and I just try to pray over the situation, and then from there He gives me the strength to keep going. And so, in spite of my schedule that I have, all the hecticness and craziness, you know, He finds a way to bring peace to me. And, you know, I'm hoping He gives peace to you in your life, and you can keep doing what you're doing, and you can get to that level that you're hoping to get.
Yeah, same. I feel, you know, you need to take time out of your day, just, you know, spend time in prayer, spend time in meditation. because I feel like those things will, help you throughout the day. Because, we all go through, like, we have our, joyful days, happy days, and also the sad times and in between those. But I feel like when you do that, that really can help in a lot of ways.
Right, absolutely. Talk to me about your childhood growing up right here in Maryland. What was that like for you as a kid?
So, really, Calvert County is really all I know. Because I grew up here. I've been born here. Same goes for my parents. Calvert County's been my home, and it's really been an important thing in my life because this is where, I've really gained a lot of people, friends, got to know a lot of people that, came from different parts of Maryland that came back here. And I've also known that this has been one of the blessing things in my life to actually go through the schooling, as far as from Sunderland to Windy Hill to Honeytown and, then on to college. I met some amazing people. I met some unique people at that. And I believe people from Calvert County, they carry that fortitude to keep on, striving to be better than they were yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, just like you, I grew up in Calvert County my entire life. Like, this is pretty much all I know. Like, I didn't grow up in PG County or Anne Arundel County. This is all I've known. And, I like this county. I love it a lot. I know some people, they have their opinions on it, but, I like the simplicity of it. It's slow-paced. Everything is just very, like I said, it's slow. It allows me to really just stop and, kind of reflect on everything and not be so much in a hurry and be like in a hustle like the city life and everything. So, I like this county.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you mention it to somebody, say, where are you from? And I'm like, Calvert County.
Yeah.
Where? Ottawa?
Yeah.
So they don't know where it's at, but at the same time, I'll be like, come down here and kind of see what it's like. It's kind of country, but at the same time, the main attraction is kind of North Beach.
Yeah. Funny story. I went to the art museum for like an art project at CSM, and I brought my cousins with me, and the lady was checking us in, and she was like, where you guys from? I was like, I'm from Maryland. And she was like, oh, where are you guys from? I was like, Calvert County. She was like, what? I was like, Calvert County. I'm like 18 at the time. I know nothing about that. My cousin was like, Ced, shut up. Just say you're from PG County or something. She'll know that. I was like, how am I supposed to know? People don't know where Calvert County is.
Because when I mention it to people, the thing I always say is like it's right next to Waldorf, so because they know where Waldorf is.
Right.
Right. Because most people that I talk to, they'll say, "Oh yeah, I know of Calvert County. I've heard of Calvert County. I don't really know what it's like or what it looks like."
Mm-hmm.
But mostly you get that from older people. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, I know Calvert County," but younger people are like, "Oh, I maybe went down there one time." But
yeah, exactly. What were some of the morals and values that your parents instilled in you as a kid that you still carry with you to this day as a young adult?
Basically, the concept of my character, and also to be selfless in order to do, to be ambitious in all my things that I do, but also to be consistent. Don't just do things and then stop and then try again. Like, be consistent in all that you do. I like connecting with people, so that's really one thing that I love to do. So I feel like Calvert County is kind of help build that, because when you look at Calvert County, it's like a real community base. Everybody knows everybody, and my parents raised me. I really can harbor back to that, because I was mostly brought up by a lot of women in my life, my aunts, my grandmothers, and cousins. So they really kind of helped shape me and mold me to the person I am today. When I think about that, like, it all stems from my grandmothers and my grandparents, how they instilled that in my parents to, that love and, passing it down to your younger generation, your sons, kids, and everything. My parents always been about that. My parents have been, the main focus for me in my life, the thing that drives me to, to become better as a person, also better for career-wise. I look at them and I see, the way they've been able to provide for themselves, for the family, and it's something that I could really, be without them, there is no me.
Yeah.
And when I look at my brother, it's we both come from both nurturing parents. Usually when I have certain friends, they only have the one parent, either the mother or the father, and they don't have the two. And I feel I've been so blessed to be able to have both parents in my life that have been there no matter what and no matter the situation, and they really, helped mold my moral compass in the world.
Right.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty blessed to have, both sets of parents in my life, and I had two sets of grandparents. Not a lot of people can say that they have two sets of grandparents in their life. And so, with that, it comes with, their old mindsets and their old mentalities and the way they instilled the importance of character, like you said, in me, always show up on time, always be respectful to others and give to others, Bible says, love thy neighbor as you love yourself. I'm always trying to love my neighbor and help other people's. And I don't mean my actual literal neighbor. I mean my friends or family who need some support or just care. I'm always extending the olive branch to care about them. I think that's really important in life, to really, look out for people and just care for them. Even just a simple hello or how you doing when you're walking down the street, it can really change a person's, life or change their perspective, no matter the kind of day that they're having. So I think it's pretty cool that I came up in Calvert County. Like you said, it's a really small community, but with that community, we all always try to look out for each other as best as we can.
Yeah, and to piggyback off that, I believe that's I remember that is the number one thing to, love God and love your neighbor. But also, everybody's made in the image of God, so I feel that that's one thing you can look at people and they're just the same as you. They have the same trials and tribulations just as you have. So I feel carrying that love and passion to another person can also uplift them, even when there are times where you may not know what somebody's going through, but if you lend an open arms and, give them some encouragement, that can really carry them a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some of the hobbies that you like to do in your downtime? During this pandemic, I've taken up a wide variety of hobbies that I like to do, but I want to know some of your hobbies. What do you like to do?
Mainly, I don't want to sound too boring, but I'm in the books. I've been in the books for a while now. Also, I would say I picked up on chess.
Oh.
So that's something I've always said, I really want to learn and be able to compete because my brother always, wins, and I don't like to lose, so I got to learn how to beat him. So that's been my main focus. Also, been, I guess, kind of poetry in a sense, because I've heard you say that on your that you like to do that, and I'm like, yeah, I really enjoy poetry and just literature at that. So I really that's what the hobbies I've been picking up.
Yeah,
I love to read, so.
Yeah, writing has always been my thing. It's just that I always did poetry, as a kid. Even in high school, I used to do it, but I kind of stopped doing it once I got to CSM, just because my mind was just focused on other things. But once the pandemic first happened, I was like, okay, I got all these emotions going through me. I got all this stuff on my mind. How about I write it on paper if I don't feel like talking to somebody about it? And, it does wonders for me when I just take the time out of my day to just write and reflect, because then I feel better in the end about it, about the situation that I'm going through. Reading, I love reading a lot. I picked up on that during the pandemic. I used to hate reading. I never liked reading until my English class, we were supposed to read a book, and I read the book at the last minute because I didn't think it would be interesting. But it really, held my interest, and it really opened my eyes to just taking the time out to read different things and learn different things. So I would say reading and writing. I like to jog a lot. I can't really jog now because there's a bunch of snow on the ground. So I've been in the house just lifting weights and stuff. But, just finding different things to, keep me encouraged throughout the day, make the time go by faster. That's what helps me out the most.
Oh, and including, working out, lifting, like that's been the thing. Like every morning I strive on getting up to go work out and then carry on with my day, because I feel that if I don't get that, then my day's kind of not boring, but it's not as energized, because if I get that motivation to lift, that also helps me.
Yeah,
but also oh my bad, because
no,
but, I mean,
go ahead.
I mean, going back to the poetry, do you kind of, I guess, feel that like the poetry kind of is a healing thing for you?
I would say it's a healing thing, absolutely. I always try to find a certain spot to do it at, whether it's in my room. If it's not too cold outside, I'll just sit outside and, think of something and try to write stuff down. I find it very therapeutic to get my thoughts down, because sometimes, I don't feel like going to people and talking to them about it. I'm sure they would love to sit down and listen to how I'm feeling, but, sometimes I feel like I should be doing it on my own. That's where my stubbornness or my independence comes in. So, for the most part, I find it very healing and therapeutic for me. It's something I recommend. Like poetry, it doesn't always have to rhyme. It doesn't have to be on Shakespeare's level. But, just getting your thoughts down, that's what counts, and that's what helps me.
So they kind of like all that transpired over the summer and then into, I guess, the fall, kind of like made you want to write more?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll touch on it because it's good to talk about it. With the passing of my father, he passed away back in early September. I was just thrown off key. It was the beginning of the semester for me. I had all of these different emotions, and after the funeral happened, a lot of people, they expected me, not my family, but people outside of my family, they really expected me to get back to who I was, before that happened. And it was a lot of pressure on me. And sometimes I didn't really feel like talking about it. And so I would just write, different poems about how I was feeling, whether I was sad or angry or just confused about how to continue to move forward in life. I always try to use my experiences and my surroundings around me, and I try to take advantage of that and put it on paper or just type it out on my laptop, because, as I said earlier, just sitting down and writing about it, you're putting it out in the atmosphere, and it's no longer in your head, because once it's still in your head, you're just going to keep replaying it over and over, and you'll drive yourself crazy doing that.
Yeah, and I feel like you can also like go back, say you did it like in September, you can go back like from now and look back and say, man, during that time I was, feeling that way, but now I feel like I've grown as a person from where I was, and I can look back and say, I appreciate that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I've grown in a lot of ways since, September. I still have my days where I struggle, but things are starting to get more easier as time goes on. And that's what a lot of people told me in the beginning. I hate it when they said that it would take time, but it's the truth. It did take a lot of time. I'm still healing from it. I'm still affected by it, but, I do believe that day by day I'm getting better.
Man, I'm sorry to hear about that too, man.
Yeah, thank you, bro. And so, shifting gears from that, before we get into, how Huntingtown was for you, what kind of advice do you have for people looking to find hobbies that they're unsure of to find for themselves?
Oh, dive into what interests you. See what you love and see what you can create. And I feel that, also, I didn't say this, but I also tried to learn how to play the acoustic.
Ooh.
And, trying to see myself as like a Jimi Hendrix or something. But yeah, like to learn something that you never thought you would actually do. And I feel that, you'll come out on top and then figure out a new hobby of yours is an expression of who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to take a small break, and when we come back, Mitch is going to talk to us about his time at Huntingtown High, how his experience shaped him, and also his decision to join Bowie State. Stay tuned. All right, and we're back with this episode. Mitch, talk to me about your time at Huntingtown High. You know, both of us, we went to Huntingtown. You know, I feel like I saw you, as I said in the beginning, but it's hard for me to remember. But how would you describe your experience at Huntingtown?
That was kind of the key stepping stone in my life as a young man, going into, freshman year and then the end of senior year. I really gained a lot of insight. I really met a lot of smart and amazing people, and just the staff as well. I can say that I really felt like I was sheltered and I was nurtured by certain, staff members at Huntingtown. But I also feel that there was a lot of life lessons I could gain from that, meaning I got the chance to, play basketball all 4 years, and that was really a groundbreaking thing for me because I got to meet so many people through that from, different schools, but also people that, tried out and made the team and just the team itself. Because a lot of them, they came from middle school basketball, and I kind of knew them, and then we all kind of were on the same team. So that was kind of a great thing for me because I always wanted to, play with them, and it was good. But also going back to just academic-wise, I really felt like I hit my stride my sophomore year. My sophomore year is where I think I was in Mr. Moreland's class. I'm not too familiar if you know who Mr. Moreland is.
Yeah, I had Mr. Moreland.
He's kind of like the person who kind of sat me down. It's like I have great potential to, do certain things from academics. And I felt like, he gave me that push and extra encouragement to sit down and actually, study and learn, the curriculum and everything that they taught me. I felt like my favorite subjects was, his class. I think it was social studies.
Yeah, social studies.
And I think because my favorites were history, social studies, and maybe science and reading. Because math, I know math wasn't my strong suit, but I thought it was okay. But and then, I felt like the staff members, not only Mr. Moreland, but Coach Gross, the people at the front desk, I'm not too familiar with everybody's name, the cafeterias lady, I felt like it was a strong community that, helped shape each student and produce the best out of them.
Oh, yeah. I love my time at Huntingtown, just being able to reflect on the different teachers that really always took the time to help me out, was there for me, and, like you said, nurtured me and helped prepare me for that next level. I can remember taking AP Government with Ms. Hutzline, and, taking that class, that really helped prepare me for college. I can say, without taking any AP classes my junior year, I wouldn't have been as prepared for university as I was, because they were very, consistent with the assignments. Everything is due on this day. I want everything in, your folder, everything neat on the front desk, so that way I can take it home and grade it. And, I was always striving to, do my best in there just to get the best grade, possible. And all of those skills really helped prepare me for being a student at CSM and at Bowie State University. So I can relate to that also as far as, teachers recognizing my potential and, pushing me to be the best.
Yeah, and it's just you remember Miss Gillis, I think?
Yeah, Miss Gillis.
Miss Gillis was one of those teachers, too. She was very, strong on, everybody has the potential to be their best, and she also was committed to that. I felt like she was one of those teachers I could actually lean on for advice and guidance, because she also, gave me that. And, there was a lot of, I remember, if you remember, Bros.
Yeah, Bros. Yeah, I remember Bros. Mr. Kimbrough.
Kind of, yeah. I was really happy because I remember it started, I want to say my sophomore year, going into junior year. But it was really like a collective of people that actually, we sat down and felt like we talked about certain issues and also how motivated we felt, well, not just sports, but also outside of school and just being young black men, we carry a certain type of pride that, we should have. And to not to look down on the next person for, if they're going to do something or, feel like you're not on the same path as them, but also to, bring them along with you.
Mm-hmm. Just looking at the growth of the Bros program over the years, of course, from, when you were there and then when I was there to where it is now. I mean, now they're going to different schools, giving, speeches and lessons and stuff. I mean, it's just incredible to think that, they started off in this small little classroom where, a few people were there and now it's kind of transformed into something really big. It's just really incredible.
Yeah, I remember from its inception when everybody was just talking about it, and then I remember people asking, "What is Bros? What is Bros? Are you in Bros?" I'm like, "Yeah," and it was just so genuine that you had teachers and staff members that actually cared about the young black men to just to actually come and say, we understand you, we've been there, we had that same experience, and you got to meet certain people in different grades that you didn't always get to communicate with, and I felt that was a very important thing.
Yeah.
Because I believe Mr. Kimbrough, they used to sit us down and show us videos, and then after that we would talk, eat lunch, and then everybody would just go about their business throughout next class. That was a really beautiful thing. And then were you in there? I want to say. Your freshman year, sophomore year?
Yeah, I was in there about my probably freshman year, and then sophomore and junior year I started to go in there more.
Because I remember they did bring, speakers in there. We used to have our own little gatherings where we go see certain people, hear them have a speech and everything. I remember that.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, Mr. Kimbrough actually put me on to Dr. Eric Thomas, so literally every other morning or so, I'll listen to E.T., and I'll just hear his voice, and it's just so, encouraging, and he's so, motivating and just getting you to chase your purpose. I bought, a few of his books, and I've read some of them, and he's just really good, motivating guy, and, Bros really helped form my mind in a lot of ways. It showed me that, hey, I have potential as a young black man, and just because I'm growing up in this predominantly white county, doesn't mean I don't have potential, right? I have the potential to achieve things just like every other black leader. So, kudos to Mr. Kimbrough. Shout out to him and his program.
Yeah, and I remember, what was it? But, they really were people that actually I think these young men actually need time to develop. And I remember early on he used to show those videos, and I would think that was early in Eric Thomas's first start as being a speaker motivator.
Mm-hmm.
And you just mentioned reading his book. I remember I had not the podcast but the little audio recordings they used to do, the little 15, I want to say tracks, but 15 sermons, speeches. Those were really helpful, especially you listen to those in the morning and get you motivated to conquer the day. And those really were insightful. It's no, I can really follow things that he's saying, and take those and put them into practice, not just say, oh, yeah, I'm going to do it, but actually, commit to it.
Yeah, absolutely. With you doing basketball on top of, doing academics, did you ever struggle finding, time management skills, and how did those time management skills really help you out?
Yeah, so I think the thing that I had to really learn as far as having basketball and academics, because, I did basketball and track, but only did track my freshman year. But I feel as though that was a great time for me to learn balancing both academics and sports, because it was kind of a struggle until I kind of started getting my strides going into my junior year, senior year. And the coaches really, wanted the best out of us, not as far as sports, but academically. They were really strong on having your grades right, making sure, you interacting with teachers the correct way, and you're not acting up in class. I remember the coaches would, if a teacher said they did this and that during the day, the coaches would bring us in and say, why were you doing this? Why were you doing that? And they would really, not get on you, but sit you down and instruct you shouldn't be doing this and that. And then when you get to practice, you kind of get that, they were kind of upset with you. Because I remember the thing I used to hate the most, and I'm sure a lot of other teammates could attest to that, was suicides. Now, if certain people didn't have certain grades right, everybody was running suicides. But if you didn't, you were supposed to be running certain suicides for that time you slacked off. But going back to, I guess, basketball, that's kind of where the hard work was and instilled in us for academics and for the sports. Basketball was like an avenue for meeting new people, but also gaining new ambitions for, your work ethic.
Yeah. I'm actually looking to join a fraternity at Bowie State. Of course, when the campus opens up, I'm looking for that one thing to give me more structure and discipline and guidance. Not that I, desperately need it, but I feel like in life we always need some type of, structure or routine to really just keep us going. And I think that was something I missed in high school with doing sports, was I didn't really have that person in my ear to really, keep me going like that. So my time management skills were great, but they could have been better. So I could have been ahead of the curve my freshman year at college. But I think that's cool and all that you were able to learn those time management skills at that young age in high school, because it pretty much helped prepare you for the next step.
Yeah, and did you do multiple sports at Honeytown?
No,
I
didn't do any sports.
You didn't?
Nah, I was boring. I was lazy. I ain't do no sports. I ain't do no extracurricular activities except for bros. I ain't do nothing.
Because I remember it was early on my freshman year, I want to say, that my brother was, in my ear about, you shouldn't just do sports. You should actually join in some organizations there at the school. And when I look back on it, he was kind of right. Mm-hmm. And I felt like that was, if I had just did that, I could have met a lot more people, but I could have gained, a lot of maybe more hobbies.
Yeah.
And picked up new things that I probably didn't know that I was interested in.
Right. I think what I didn't make up for in the extracurricular activities, I made up for in the relationships with my teachers. Because I was always a driven student, and of course teachers are going to respect that. And so I always felt like as a student, because I wasn't an athlete, I had to work extra harder to please those teachers who were coaches, so that way they could see that, I'm just as driven as these guys are, even though I'm not on the court or on the field just like them. And I think because of my work ethic, that's what helped me, appease to them more, and that's what made them want to help me along my way.
And I felt like some of them, they were like a parent to you at the same time. They were an extension of, like a parent, also a friend, because they could relate,
Yeah, like Coach Tobias, he really helped me out. Mr. Kerwin, he was a great friend of mine. I had him on the podcast a while back, but, those type of mentors really helped shape me as a student and really did help prepare me for life as a college student.
Yeah, I feel like they give you all these necessary things for you to carry on for yourself as an individual, and then once you reach that pinnacle of now I'm carrying that load and going into college as a man, I feel like you can look back on those things like they were really actually right about certain things, and also they gave me insight where I could actually apply these things.
Right. What made you choose Bowie State as your school versus going out of state of Maryland? Because I know we have a lot of people who we went to Huntingtown with. Some of them, they stayed in the state, and most of them went out of state. What made you choose to stay in state?
So Bowie State was actually a place where I decided to go, but it was actually a real shocker for me from transitioning from kind of like an all-white school and then going to HBCU. That transition was, I want to say, it was hard for me. When I say that to a lot of people, that they give me like a questionable stare, but really it's going from, an all-white, community to just everything's all black. So I felt isolated during certain periods, actually going into Bowie State. But Bowie State has been, I guess, the best thing that's ever happened to me. Because I feel as though Bowie State it wasn't my first choice, but it was definitely my second choice. And I feel that I've gotten a lot from saying, choosing maybe an out-of-state school to an in-state school. Bowie was actually, wasn't far from home, which I loved. And most people, they either went to Frostburg, College Park, or like someplace outside like Virginia. And I feel as though Bowie State had everything, I wanted in the school. Everything, they offered everything that I needed.
Right.
And to say it was an HBCU was also a thing that I can harbor back on and say this was, an excellent period in my life.
Yeah. I made this analogy probably a few episodes ago on the podcast, but during my time at Huntingtown, I always felt like I was too white for the black kids, and then I was too black for the white kids. And it was really hard to find that balance where I could have just been myself and who I was, but I always felt like when I was around my black folks, I had to act a certain type of way or dress a certain way. And then when I was with the white people, I had to really appease to them in a lot of ways. So it was really hard to find that balance. But once I got a job in PG County the summer going into my senior year, I was working at a warehouse for the school board down there. And, I was working with a whole lot of black people, something I wasn't really used to coming from Calvert County. And so it really forced me to go out of my comfort zone. But, once I learned how to truly be myself and I heard a lot of people talking about Bowie State and how great of a school it was, I just decided to go on a college tour. And once I hit foot on campus, I was really swayed to just join the school and really, step out of my comfort zone and join a HBCU.
Yeah, and also Bowie State was the school my brother went to, so it was kind of like, it was a home.
Yeah.
So it was like the home away from home. And kind of, I was going to ask you about that transition. Like, do you feel like you had to act a certain way once you reached, I guess PG County from Calvert County? You couldn't like talk the same way you did back then, when you were at Calvert? Because I felt that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, probably like the first 2 to 3 weeks, I didn't really talk to anybody. There was this one guy, one of my best friends, James. I know he's listening to this. He tried to talk to me like all the time. I would not give him the time of day just because I was just so shy and I didn't know what to say, or if I would say the wrong thing and then everybody would just joan on me and just cut me up. And then from there, I would just be, I'd be done for. But I really just started to be myself. I'm really naturally a reserved and quiet person. But if I felt like I had something to say, people wouldn't just look at me and be like, what's this kid talking about? They would just look at me and be like, oh, like this guy has some really interesting stuff to say. And then on our lunch breaks, they would invite me out to lunch. I would just sit and talk with them. And, they accepted me for who I was and who I was as an individual. And, there was nothing wrong with that. And it was just, so long as I didn't offend anybody by saying the wrong things, that's what mattered the most.
Yeah, and it's like, I felt like I was in between everything. Like, Calvert County was over here, Bowie was over here, and I was just stuck in the middle. And so I had to kind of, I guess, be my own person and felt like I can not fit in between both, but I can adapt in between both.
Yeah.
I know both sides, and I know how to interact with one and not interact with the other, and just still be my own person.
Yeah, it's like now as a 20-year-old, I feel more comfortable with going on campus. I haven't been on campus yet, of course, due to the pandemic. But if I was to do that, I would feel more comfortable doing it versus me as a 17-year-old doing it, just because now I'm more sure of myself, more confident in who I am, and I wouldn't have a problem, interacting with the people who I feel, are the right people for me.
Yeah, and I feel like if you had got that experience of being on Bowie State campus and seeing like the whole student body and just people coming from, I guess, various places from PG, from DC, and they're from Baltimore, like there's a lot of people that actually are on their grind and actually, working toward that degree, but also, they just love to interact with other people.
Yeah.
And you got a lot of women that are in a lot of the leading positions there at Bowie State.
Yeah, 2018 was probably the last time I was in the PG County area on a consistent basis. So it's been a while since I've been on there, but, hoping in the fall or maybe next year I can get back on campus and start interacting with my people more, just so, I can familiarize myself with them more.
Yeah, it was a blissful experience because it's just something that you love. It's like it's your people, and it's like you got your parties, of course, but you also got games. You got at lunch, everybody's at lunch. Just in the classroom, the environment is so effective, and then it's just like I can't see myself anywhere else besides Bowie State.
Yeah.
And I feel as though Bowie State also gave me the tools I needed to be my own person and to, strive toward my careers. And it's certain professors that, enlightened me and gave me that shift that I needed going into my senior year and then advancing into become my own independent person. But I really gained a lot of Black history in a way, and also a certain pride in myself to know who I am and in my skin color. I want to say my sophomore year was kind of my most important year as far as me being at Bowie State, because it was where I had my African American Studies class, and some people don't take class seriously, but I felt as though this was important time for me to actually sit and listen into somebody actually speaking certain knowledge to me, and it kind of opened a broader perspective for me of seeing things from a new light. There was my professor that I had was Mr. Davidson, I want to say. I don't know, you probably meet him, maybe not. But he was really the person that, gave me a lot of insight about, Black history, the, Black leaders, and also, the struggles, but also the joyful times that, we had throughout periods from slavery to Reconstruction to the 60s to present day.
Yeah.
And I've gained like a pride feeling, knowing, I have, dignity in, being a Black man, like you said. And I remember near my junior year, I was really so excited about history, just history in general. And actually got to go to African American History Museum down in D.C., and that was life-changing, man. That was really life-changing. And I encourage a lot of people to go out there and do the same. Know your history and know where you come from, because I think what Marcus Garvey said, a people without knowledge is like a tree without roots. So...
Yeah, I wish the school systems here and pretty much around the country taught Black history and actually teach actual Black history and what happened. Like the same stuff we learned in our African American studies classes, because I took it last semester. I wished all of that was applied to me in high school, so that way I understood my history and understood, what our ancestors fought for just for us to have the rights that we do today as young Black men. I really do think it's important that we do know our history, because we have to prepare the next generation for that next generation. And, it's just an onwards trend. And I am so blessed to have great professors at Bowie State who has been working with me, through all of this. Like, that was my biggest fear going to Bowie, was that the professors wouldn't really work with me or wouldn't help me out in a lot of ways. But just getting to interact with them and, feel how, they run their classroom and everything, it's just amazing. Like, my geography teacher, we don't even meet, but I had a question for an assignment we had, and he was just like, that's an excellent question. And I was just like, in my mind, I was thinking like, I'm probably asking a stupid question, but he thought it was excellent. And so I can't wait to get on campus and start meeting with them face to face and interacting with them, because those networks will help me get to where I'm trying to go.
Yeah, and the thing is, when I got there, I wasn't expecting to see this, but there was a lot of African professors.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it kind of sounded like, whoa, really? But, yeah, I mean, it was hard to, I want to say understand them, but it was hard to hear what they were saying there sometimes. But then once you get the hang of everything, it's just, carrying forth. But, yeah, and how do you feel about the classes? I know you mentioned that you took the winter classes.
Oh yeah, like the winter class. Oh, what were you saying?
I said how was the winter classes? Because I know for me when I did it, it was kind of not hard thing, but it's kind of difficult because it's not the same as just like the regular semester. But they trying to give you everything.
Yeah.
And they expect you to do it, and then to get the grade.
It was very rigorous, but I'm very blessed to have gotten through it. Like, I would find myself at times waking up at 4 a.m. just because of stress. Mm-hmm. And because of that stress, it forced me to do all of my assignments that I needed to get done, because I didn't want to look at it as, okay, I'm not going to, do this, There was no such thing as procrastinating when you only have 3 weeks to do it, because 3 weeks is a very fast time in college, as all of my college students listening will know. And so it really forced me to really stay on my purpose. And, I ended up getting all A's in my classes, which was great. I mean, I like everything that's kind of rushed out, because that means I don't really have to do all of the hard work. For my music class, all I had to do was 8 discussion posts and 3 online quizzes, and pretty much, that was it, basically. And 1 final exam, and that was it, basically, all throughout a 3-week period. And I knocked some of that stuff out within the first week and a half, 2 weeks. So very rigorous, very challenging, but, if you stay focused and stay on your purpose, you can get the work done.
Yeah, and the thing is, you also always have that procrastination in your ear.
Oh, yeah.
It's I can do this a little later, and I'll probably get it done.
Yeah.
No, let me wait a little later. Yeah. So, I mean, that too, but, I feel like also, the professors, they're helpful in understanding, hey, I'm busy. I also have work. Mm-hmm. But, they listen oh, yeah, you can turn it a little later. I'll still accept it.
Yeah.
And so that was really wow, they really do, really want you to succeed.
Yeah, and my communications professor, Professor Oladipo, that was my first African professor, so there would be times where I would listen to her, and I would kind of have to, really listen to her, but I'm glad I had that experience of having my first African professor, because it really helped me understand her culture, understand what she was all about, and what she wanted from us as students. Literally, if we were confused on something, she would send a 10 to 20 minute video going through the entire assignment with us, just teaching us how to do it. Most professors don't do that. They'll pretty much just be all right, turn this in Sunday by midnight, and you're on your own. But just the fact that she took the time to really help us out was something I really did, appreciate.
Yeah, and that's not all the time you actually get that. Mm-hmm. You don't get that actually helpful hand that you need sometimes with certain professors, because sometimes they just see it as just the students. But sometimes they just see it as, each individual student, they also need that help. And I feel as though, because I was a business major. I got a business degree, and I feel as though that business department, we were all collective as a student, like the students in that department. Everybody worked with each other, the students and the professors. They also, like, if somebody needed help, they would actually go to a different student first and then go to the professor. So everything was, together. Like, everybody was united for one common goal, succeeding.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. When you graduated, last spring, how rewarding was that for you to know that all your hard work has paid off and now you have your degree? Even though you didn't get to walk the stage, you still graduated.
It was a sigh of relief. like after all that time, studying hard nights, being up late, having to turn in certain assignments when I felt like I wasn't prepared, or taking certain exams, I felt like I didn't know if I was going to pass or not. And that was just like a blissful feeling to know I came out on top of all that I had, accomplished all the obstacles, and I finally finished. And it was, I didn't have to go back and do it over again.
Yeah.
And I know that watching also, certain friends that you grown with also at Bowie was also another, very exciting feeling, because you get to watch them come up with you, and, your trajectory towards succeeding was the most, encouraging feeling. To watch them succeed also, not just yourself.
Yeah, I felt the same way when I graduated CSM, because I had worked hard for those 2 years to get out of there. Because CSM, they like to promote that, oh, you're only here for 2 years and then you're out. Well, that's only the case is if you take a full-time schedule, you take classes during the winter and the summer, which some people don't do. And it's only if you do that, then you get out of there for those 2 years, I've known people who are just graduating now, and we all started at the same time. I've known people who graduated within a year or a year and a half. And so I really fought hard to get out of there after those 2 years. And so once I got my degree and diploma, like you said, it was a sigh of relief that I'm finally moving on to the next stage. And so now I can join my cousins, and every time we go to Waldorf, we pass CSM, we'll just go FCSM, just because of how hard it was. But, I'm very relieved that I got that part of my life over with, and now I'm here at university working on getting my degree.
Yeah, because I feel as though, like, everybody moves at their own pace when it comes to college. Because, I've had friends that, stepped away from it, or say, I finished this a little later, or, college really wasn't for me. But and they'll be like, oh yeah, I need to go back now. So everybody moves at their own paces. That 4 years is 4 years, but some people, they finish later. As long as you get the degree, that's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly. What comes next for you in your journey? I know you graduated about a few months ago. What are you hoping to achieve in this year?
To get that career position that I've been longing for, that I got my degree in marketing. And also, I'm thinking about going back to school, thinking about actually, getting my master's. I feel like that's something I always wanted to do. So I'm looking forward to actually doing that. And this year, I know that, this is kind of, last year was preparing for this year to come, so this year putting everything in practice.
Yep, absolutely. And so a final question to you before I go ahead and let you go is, if you could offer a piece of advice to your former self, what would you say to that former individual?
That's a good one. I would say don't let fear hold you back. I would say to be open and honest, and to be confident in yourself, to believe that you can actually accomplish what you want, and don't think about all the negativity that's out there. To actually focus in on your goals and what you want to accomplish. Fear can actually hold you back and bring you into yourself. So I think that confidence is the way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm trying to do. Always trying to stay confident, try to take as many chances as I can to try to stay on my purpose, because I'm always trying to satisfy and please God, just to make sure I'm doing the right thing, doing what he's asking of me. So, that way when that day comes on my final day, he can look at me and say, well done, my good and faithful servant, and, let me in. So that's what I'm striving for on this earth.
Yeah, it's a blessing.
Yeah,
it's a good blessing.
absolutely. Well, Mitch, thank you so much for your time, bro. We had an incredible conversation. And, hey, if you're down one day, I'd love to have you back on again.
Of course. I would love to be back.
Yes, sir.
Because
Yeah, we'll stay in touch. We'll stay in touch.
All right.
All right, take care, bro. All right, y'all, this wraps up this edition of the CedTalks Podcast. Stay blessed and stay encouraged, and I will see you guys down the road.